Welcome back. Well, the engine is ready to go in, but before we can do that, we got to get the car ready. I got to clean up the engine bay. It's a lot easier to do without the engine in there, obviously. So basically, I'm just going to strip everything out of there and clean it and then put it back in what we need. A lot of this stuff was hooked up wrong as far as the vent lines for the oil tank and the lines of the charcoal canister up front and the tank breather and all that. So we're going to redo all that. We're going to fix the fuel line situation because that's a big mess. I got a fuel filter. I'll show you my plan for that. And I'm going to take this whole electrical panel off, clean everything, put it back. It's going to look brand new. Might notice the bumper's off. That's getting some body work done on it, so that'll look pretty nice. So yeah, I'll show you the situation we got going on in here and my plan of attack. So this is sort of one of those situations where the harder you look, the worse it gets. I'm not sure if they just didn't know where lines went and everything, but everything's kind of a mess. So this one was hooked up to the right spot. That goes into the breather on the engine. This here was sort of hooked up where it's supposed to go, which is the ductwork on top, like behind the fan. But then it was hooked into this thing oh no, I'm sorry, it went like this. And someone used RTV to glue this in here for some reason, and then slid this on the inside of the one on the engine. I don't know, this just goes straight onto there on its own with a clamp, so we'll do that. Then this back here, this is an oil breather, sort of like a catch can deal, except instead of a catch can, it just drops out the bottom. So this is supposed to hook into the back of the air box, as well as this line that goes to the charcoal canister. There's like a spark restrictor thing in that. And then any oil that comes out of it, which I looked in these tubes are perfectly clean inside. They look yellow, but there's no oil in them. So there was no oil coming out of those anyways. So I have no issue hooking these back up to the air cleaner. And then this hose, which I still have to hook up the engine, hooks to the bottom of the air cleaner like this. So that if there is any oil buildup in there for some reason, it'll drip out and go out the back of the engine. So we'll hook that back up as well. And then the last thing that they had hooked up here was this. So this tube here is supposed to go to the intake, kind of over here where the air inlet is, and they put this breather thing on the end of it. But the tube just goes into here, which just goes into the frame rail. There's some debate on where it actually pulls air from, but it seems to believe to just be the cabin. All that's basically doing right now is just letting fumes from the engine bay into the cabin, so we're not going to do that. We'll fix that. And then obviously this big mess here, the fuel, it's got a cheap filter. It didn't even have clamps on it when we started, so we're getting there. And then there's some added wiring we're going to get rid of and stuff like that. So this thing just needs completely gone through and cleaned up. So I'm probably going to start time-lapsing, taking all this apart, cleaning it, because it's just kind of is what it is. It's going to take it apart, clean it, put it back together. But I will bring it back in for when I'll show you what I got planned for the fuel system here. So let's get to it. So now that I got everything cleaned up in here, I can show you what I got planned for the fuel system. So initially when I ordered a bunch of parts for this car, I wasn't really paying attention, just ordered a fuel filter and I got this. And this is a fuel filter for a 1979 11 with fuel injection, which this one does not. So I did a couple things. I was like, well, maybe I could buy, figure out what thread pitch this is and the diameter of the seal and find a nice mount for it and plumb that in, and that would be cool to have this Porsche filter. But the only one I could find was for like a case tractor, and you had to buy the whole apparatus, which was huge and expensive, so that wasn't gonna work. So then I tried to search for the right filter for this car, which is a little, it looks like a generic filter, but it's a little more high quality from Hank's, or however you say that. But no one had it in stock. So then I searched for Hank's filters by inlet and outlet diameter, and I found this one, which is pretty nice. And obviously we could have just used a generic one like what was on there, but I wanted to use a nice filter. So I found this filter, and then this clamp here I found on Amazon for like 10 bucks, I think. And this car actually has the holes in here for where the, I believe anyways, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure this is where the fuel filter for the fuel injected car would be. So I popped the plugs out of there, and these holes from this clamp I bought line up perfectly. So I got some MMA hardware. I'm going to use these used flange nuts, and that's going to go into the wheel well. So if you look up in there, these will match everything else. They're not going to look new and shiny. And then for the fuel rail, originally this would have had like a cut fuel line wrapped onto here, and they were completely gone. So I just put some fuel line over, and then I threw some heat shrink on it just to hold them on and make it look nice. Give it a nice rubbery feel so that it really holds them in tightly. This actually goes this way. So I'm going to pop that in there. So I'm going to get this in there real quick. So I'm going to mount this filter in here, like that. So then obviously in the future you can just leave this clamp bolted in here, loosen the clamp, slide the filter out, put a new one in, slide it in, clamp it down. It should be nice and easy. So yeah, now I'm going to get this installed, and we'll plumb it up, and we should be done with the fuel system. Reach around in here. Alright, the other one on. Alright, so I'm going to get that nice and straight. And I'm going to be, yeah, that looks good. Perfect. So tighten that up. One side tight. This is still nice and straight. Oh yeah. Alright, we'll get this side here. It'll be a little harder, but I can get it. Let's see. Alright. Oh yeah, that looks perfect. This is mounted up here nice. And then I'm gonna route the fuel line from here and just come up whoop into here. And this one's gonna come down here. Right into the fuel rail. Let's see, so bring it up here. Put this on there. Alright, that off there. Just take that out of there. Like I said, this is a 8mm, this is 7.5mm. hose, so it's a little tight. We'll get on there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sweet, I gotta put some clamps on here. And this one, I have like this. Sure. I'm also going to pop the other side on now, might as well. Now it's tight at the length. Alright, so I'm going to run this up through here. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Let's put that one can on there. This clamp up here. Alright. These clamps are just some generic stainless steel fuel injection clamps. I did get, you know, not the best ones, but good enough. Or not the cheapest ones either. The Porsche ones are really expensive, but these will do just fine. Alright. So got that down there. That looks good. Now we can put our fuel rail in. This in here. Stuff is some added wiring for who knows what, probably an alarm or something. Get rid of that. Alright. Probably right here. I don't think there's anything in that corner. No, it should be fine. Okay, let's put this in here. I'm just gonna kind of get it roughly where it was before. It's probably about right there. I know what I need to. So fuel system is in. I'll get these wires out of the way. See, like I said, it comes out of here, into the top of the filter, out of the filter, into the fuel rail. Way more simple than that dumb filter, and then it went into like a 3/8 line into that fuel pressure meter, which we don't need. So we're good to go here. I'm gonna clean up this electrical center thing that's here, put that back in, plug in all the wiring, then we'll clean up the hoses, and then engine bay's good to go. Well, now we've got the engine bay all cleaned up and that looks perfect and ready to go. We're going to install the pressure plate and clutch. The first thing we have to do is get the ring gear for the starter off of the old pressure plate and onto the new one. Then we'll put the clutch in here, pressure plate on, torque it down, and this job will be done. Let's get to it. Alright, so it's time to get the new pressure plate ready. So I got the old one here. These are fresh out of the freezer. They've been in there, well, actually for a couple of days. Really don't need to be in there for a couple of days, but that's what it ended up. So we're gonna put this one like this so we can spin it. Let's get the new one ready. So we're gonna put this one. Is it going there? Yeah. So we're gonna put this one the other way. Ooh, these are cold. Good time here before this gets too warm. Put some bolts on here so I can line this up. These are just the old pressure plate bolts. So I still got the throwout bearing on this one, which we'll need. So I'm going to get that there. So these were in the freezer, right? They're ice cold. This ring for the starter is just held on by pressure. So all I have to do is heat up this ring. It should fall right off. Then we'll quickly get it on here. And then once it cools down and this warms up, it'll be on there nice and tight. So you need a torch. You can do it with propane, but that might take a long time. MAP gas is a bit quicker. And obviously like a oxyacetylene torch is way, way better. I don't have one of those, so. All right. So I'm just gonna start. Spinning and heating and spinning and heating. Should probably get some gloves or something to pick this up. I'll figure it out though. It's one of those things I've done several times before, but every time I kind of forget exactly how to do it, what the best heating method is, so I'm kind of just winging it every time. There we go. All right, now we got to be quick here. Oh no. Okay. Oh, this isn't even hot. Okay, so we got 3, 3, 3. Yeah, that's one right on. Because everything's ice cold. Perfect. Well, that was easy. Sweet. Now we just got to get the throwout bearing off. There we go. There we go. Yep. Sweet. All right, we got the throwout bearing out. You might be wondering, oh, so now he's going to put a new throwout bearing in, right? Wrong. So these throwout bearings, because this clutch style is really only like 2-3 years, I think 70 to 72, maybe. So I guess 3 years. I could be wrong. Anyways, this throwout bearing is like $500 to $800, which is ridiculous. I'm sure it costs Saks like $10 to make this thing, but they probably don't make it anymore, which is why the new ones are so expensive. That'd be my guess. This one's just fine. I'll show you why when we're done. Doesn't make any noise. If you spin it in your hand, it makes a little bit of noise, but with any weight on it, it's just fine. I might be in my words in the future, might have to change this out and spend the $600 anyways, but I really doubt it. I bet that this will last just fine, at least through this clutch's life. And then at that point, we'll probably have to get a new one. But that'll be far down the line, and we'll save $600 in the meantime. So we're gonna pop this in to the new pressure plate, and then this pressure plate will be ready to go onto the engine with the new clutch. To install the throwout bearing on the pressure plate, we're just gonna have the throwout bearing here. There is a little washer, spacer. Yours might have more. We're gonna use the same one. Put that down. Then we got this thing. It goes 2 ways. You wanna put it with the concave side up. So this is wrong, this is right. So you can see here, there's a little edge here. That's how it's supposed to go on. Then we can set the pressure plate on here. You don't have to worry about this being dead center because when the transmission shaft comes through here, it'll center everything up. Put this ring on it. The flat side goes down. The side with the groove goes up. We got the snap ring here. So basically all we have to do to get the snap ring in, you can push down on this. See that? So we're going to push down on that to give us some space. Get one side in there. Work this around. There you go. And obviously disassembly is the same. If you want to take it out, you just got to use some snap ring pliers to pop that out. But there we go. And here, listen to this. Dead silent. Obviously it's going to be spinning a lot faster than that in the car. But that's going to be just fine for our, we don't need to spend $600 on a new throwout bearing. So this thing's ready to go. I'm going to clean this up a little bit with some brake clean, get the clutch ready, and we'll install it on the car. All right, first thing I'm going to do is just put some grease in here in the, I should have done this before I put the flywheel on, but I forgot. So we need some grease in here on the pilot bearing. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this up with some brake clean. A clean microfiber. All right. Now put the clutch disc in. Luckily it's labeled gearbox side, so that's going to go out. But if yours isn't, this flat part's the engine side. This is the gearbox side. I don't think it would go in the other way, to be honest. You can use my clutch alignment tool. Luckily, O'Reilly's had this to stock, surprisingly. So that was nice. So I did not get, I parted out the clutch kit, so I didn't have one, and I didn't think of that. And I swore I had one of these around, because I've done several clutches on 911s, but did not have this one. Or at least I lost it or something. Alright, so that's in there. Pop that all the way against there. I cleaned this up with some brake clean. Let me pop this on there. Hopefully that clutch alignment tool fits through this center here. Alright, do the 3. Does not. Whoa. There we go. All right. Rip the end off of that, so this will go on now. Okay. Lined up here. Bottom. Just gonna run all my bolts in here. Not all the way, just kind of get them all lined up, and I'll line everything up and torque them down. I did get new bolts. The old one had several different bolts on here, which you don't really want because I can kind of throw the weight off. But I got new ones, so we're good to go. So I got my 9 bolts in there. I'm not torquing them yet, just kind of go around and, do one side, then the other, kind of get it level on here. Just use the middle bolts. I guess I didn't use that middle bolt there, but use the middle bolts and then be even around. Okay, so I got these all snugged down. Obviously, there's still a lot more to go. The torque spec for these is 25 Newton meters, which is about, I think, 18 foot-pounds. I'm going to go to 20. Just because I don't know about this torque wrench, and also I'd rather be a little over and a little under. 20 will be just fine. So obviously when I'm tightening this down, just like when we did the flywheel, it has the possibility of spinning the engine. But if you think about it, if you spin this to the right, you're spinning the engine the wrong way, which is bad. That can mess things up with the timing chain. So I do have a wrench on the other side with some vice grips holding it just so it can't spin, can't come off. So that should be good. If it moves a tiny bit, that'll be fine. You don't just want to be cranking this thing over the wrong way or even move it, quarter rotation or anything like that. So we're just gonna go in here. That was a 20. Oh, man, you're easy to scrape. 20. Obviously doing a star pattern. I'm gonna have to do a couple rounds because you're basically tightening the spring onto the clutch, so. There we go. Make sure your bit's all the way in there because these are easy to strip. Got them all torqued in a star pattern, so now I'm just gonna do a full rotation, make sure they're all tight. All right, there we go. First wave bolts are torqued, clutch is lined up, we're good to go. So I got my transmission securely held up on the engine hoist, just took it off the engine stand. I'm going to change the input shaft seal real quick because I couldn't do that while I was on the stand. I got to do that before we open up the engine, so we're going to do that real quick. Let's see the best way to get that in here. There we go. Okay. There we go. A little mangled, but we got it out. Didn't damage anything in there, so that's good. I'm gonna wipe that out real quick. Sweet. That looks good. All right, got the new seal. A little bit of oil on here. Now, ideally, I'd have some sort of pipe to go over here and hit that in evenly, which I don't have. So just use a socket extension and tap around. Should work just fine. Top, bottom, side to side. What the f, dude? Oh my god. Can't buy anything good in it. Well, unfortunately, this seal's not going to work. And we're kind of screwed because you can't just pop down to AutoZone and buy these seals. When I took that cover off, I saw that old seal and I thought to myself, that looks pretty good, I should leave it alone. And that's exactly what I should have done. All throughout the car, I've noticed the seals I'm taking out look considerably better made than the ones I'm putting in. They're both L-ring, they're the same part numbers and everything, but it just seems like they've really cheapened up their seals. And this is a perfect example of it. Would it have gone in if I used the right tool? Maybe. I really think I would have had the same issue though. Looking at it closely, what happened is there's no bevel on this rubber. Like if I look at the old one here, there's much more of a bevel on the end of the rubber where it slides in so that it doesn't get caught and tear the rubber up, just like happened on the new one. And the new one does not have that at all. I'm sure there was someone somewhere at a computer that thought, oh, if we get rid of this bevel, that'll save us 1/100th of a cent per seal and we'll be rich. So that's probably what happened because this seal sucks. Worst of all, that's going to keep us from putting the engine in today because obviously I need a seal before I can put the transmission on the engine and the engine in the car. So that's where this video is going to end today, unfortunately. I got to order more of those, probably going to order 2 because I'm sure I'll destroy another one when I put it in. And then the third one hopefully won't just be destroyed. And then we can get this engine and transmission in the car. And I promise that will be in the next video. We're going to get the engine and transmission in. We're going to get the car running. And trust me, I'm more frustrated than you, that's for sure. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. It's coming along. We'll get there. But thanks for watching. See you next week.